now it's time to route, or actually put the unit in. And it took me about an hour to get this sucker in there. Not easy, definitely not easy. But here it is. Basically there the hose is coming out, and you see I bolted the panel to the wall already, so the hoses come out nicely and I didn't have to cut up there. And then over here you see that the plastic is right above this. It's actually sitting on top of this portion of the metal, and this is why I needed this wire to be just under this metal part, because I wanted to ensure that when I put the panel back that I'd have clearance for it, so I won't have any problems. And you can see it actually is up against the track here, so I have plenty of space for my carpet. And the wire is completely under. You see there? Completely under. And then when it gets up to here, because the wire actually doesn't have a channel to run into, only the black one is sticking out, and the red one's on the back. So when I put my carpet in, I'm gonna loosen the screws, put the carpet over this, and then bolt it back up, so that way I can hide this wire. But there it is, the hoses, the way they get routed to the unit. And you can see, hopefully you can see, there's the big number 10 hose. This one's the number 6 hose, which wasn't a problem. These two heater hoses, they're routed into the back here, so you can see they're running in the back. So it was definitely a hassle to get this sucker in there and bolt it up, because you know the hoses aren't exactly, you know, super flexible. But you know, I was fighting with it, but I got it up there. And I made sure that there was slack on the inside of here so that I could move the hoses around as I was putting this up. So you know, I wanted to make sure I had some slack so that it's not pulling on the fittings for the heater or the fittings for this. Now, the hose actually runs, let's see if I can, you can see the hose, the way it runs, how it goes into the unit, the air conditioning hose. And then there's this black thing, this sticky, it's called a press tape, that you have to put on to onto the fittings, so that, I guess for sweat or whatever, so it's supposed to prevent these fittings from accumulating condensation and dripping. So we got that all nicely press taped. And then I'm gonna tighten up these bolts on there. I already tightened up the one in the firewall, and I'll have to see about routing my hoses. So one of the vents that I needed to work on is this one right here, and this is one of the side vents that I need to put onto the dashboard. And so what I did was I used this as a template, because I know that this is the size I need for this vent, and upon cutting out that hole, these clips will fit nicely, holding this in its place. So I made a template, and I made it out of cardboard, and basically I wanted to get it aligned with, assuming that this is a line. Basically the dash pad is going to sit up on top of here, and this is going to be a reference for point as far as a straight line. So I want to make sure that the vent is straight as far as the top part, between the space from this corner to the top of the vent. So I took measurements, and basically it's 1 inch away from the edge, and made marks on the green tape. And then I cut off the excess, leaving behind the template so that I can check it. And basically there's a dashboard, and that's basically what the vent's gonna look like after it's cut. So I'm gonna cut that right now with my trusty Dremel. Well, here it is. The hole has been made, and that's basically the hole for this unit. And this, I went and tested it, and that's how it would look. I didn't press it in yet because I'm going to paint the edges of where I cut, but basically that's the way it's going to look with the vent in place. So definitely looks factory. So the vent is now installed, and I siliconed all the way around before I put it in there, so that way I have a nice seal, because this is completely straight or flat, and the panel has just a tiny bit of a curve. So you can see in there I put silicone on both sides, and then I just cleaned up the panel so that it makes it look really nice and clean. The next vent I need to tackle is the one that goes in the center, and previously I had shown you that this is one of the parts that was needed. And so the part that goes on the inside of that is this one. Actually goes like this, and you can see that it's going to look really good. This is a reproduction of the original Nova vents, so this definitely did cost quite a bit of money, but I couldn't find any used ones, so new is always better. So it goes in there. And so what I noticed is, this is the way it goes. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Basically this will go inside, and so the back end is completely open. I didn't realize that when I first got it, but actually the gray plastic is part of another part for the original ducting system. So in my car, I'm going to have to cover up that back side. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So the plan is to use this aluminum sheet metal, and I got this from Home Depot from the air conditioning department. And so the plan is to cut out and cover that back end, and then I plan on pop riveting it onto the plastic. And so basically I made a template out of cardboard, and I had made the cardboard so that it completely fits over this with the bends and everything and the cuts, and then I just transferred it over to the sheet metal. So now, because this is so thin, practically paper thin, I'll just use some shears to cut it, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So here it is. Here's the finished product. Basically it's just a tray, and this is going to go on there, and it's a nice snug fit in there, and basically that's the way it's going to look like on the inside. And what I like is it's going to be very efficient because it's aluminum, so when it touches air, when air gets in there and it touches that, it's going to help keep it cool or keep it warm. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop rivet this sucker on there, maybe 2 on either side and 2 on the other sides, maybe 1 here, so possibly 9 pop rivets in total, and that should do it for this. Okay, all pop riveted into place. So there it is. There's my cover, and because I know that this is going to be efficient at heating and cooling, the part that I'm worried about is the heating. I don't want this to, you know, create such a hot surface for wires and things that's going to be running behind there. So I'm going to block it off with some a product similar to Dynamite. This is what I used to sound in the floors of the Nova and the firewall. So I'm going to put this on there, and that'll protect it from heat passing over to the wires. So I'm going to do that right now, and I don't really care about how it looks. I just want to give it some protection, so I just got a little piece, and it's not going to look all perfect, but function over fashion. So here's the finished product. Ugly, but functional. I got that sound deadener on there, and I also put in my 3-inch duct. Same as what I used for the actual air conditioning unit. And I just bolted it on with 2 screws. And there's the inside, aluminum. So I'm very happy with it. So now I just got to install it in the car. Well, here it is. You see both vents on the screen. So now for this one, I just have it sitting in there because this portion of the vent actually gets attached to the dash pad, and because I don't have a dash pad for an AC car, I can't really test it out. So I just have it sitting in there. But that's not going to stop me from actually doing the work for the ducting. And so basically, here's where the holes will connect, and then for the other one, you see that's where the holes will connect for the side vent. So this one will come out and around, and this one would just go straight across to the unit, which is right there. The good thing is that the hoses will be running behind this part of the excuse me, this part of the dashboard, and the glove compartment is going to be right here. So everything will be above the glove compartment, so we won't have any hanging of hoses or anything on the bottom here. So that'll be a good thing. So since I have everything all opened up, I'll give you a chance to look at all the wiring the way I have it. Basically, I'm missing one of the wiring, and that's for the heater and air conditioning control panel. And so that will be installed when I install the dashboard, because it goes in here. The dashboard has to be installed in order for that to be done. But you see all the wiring. I have the relays up here, and I took all the wires and I bundled it up above the unit, and there was a bracket here, so I made use of that bracket to hold all the wiring in its place. And then over here, if you recall from past videos, I had 2 things here that I need to relocate, which one of them was this one here that was all the way up here somewhere. I relocated it to the center, and this is a flasher, so I wanted to be able to get to it, which is why I decided to keep it on that bracket. But now I have space for the duct work to go up and around to get to these units. And then the other thing that was on that bracket was this, so I moved it up to the top of the cow. I don't know what it is, but I thought that was a good place for it. It's away from everything. I won't be kicking it or anything, so that's why I decided to have it. And in all the other wiring, I just bundled up right there, and the rest of the wiring I put it behind the bracket, which is right there, the air conditioning bracket. Now the old wire that came out to the heater control panel had a switched 12-volt power source. So the air conditioning unit needed one of those to be functional, and that's this violet wire here. So what I did was I put a spade connector on the end of the wire and plugged it into that plug that used to go to the heater control panel, the old one. And whenever I turn the ignition on, that wire will get its 12-volt power, and the air conditioning unit would work with the car on. When I shut the car off, the air conditioning unit will be non-functional. So basically, I already explained the 2 hoses that will go to there, and then the last hose, I'm going to route it probably behind this, and it's going to go to the dashboard. Basically, this, the speedometer cluster. And the other vent actually goes right here. And this is an easy cut because it's all plastic. And let's see if I can turn it around. You see, there's really nothing in the back there. So it's going to be real easy to just cut a hole in that and put my vent right in this place. And so yeah, that's the last step as far as routing the hoses. But the unit for inside the car is pretty much done. And then I'll show you the last thing I had to do was the hose, the drain hose, and there it is. I have it now with silicone. I put the silicone in there less than 24 hours ago, so it's still drying. I'm gonna give it 2 days to fully dry, and then I'll put the this mat, which is the old firewall shield, heat shield. So I'll just put that back, and it'll be pretty much done. So that's it. Air conditioning unit is finally installed on the bottom of the dashboard, and when I get the dash pad, I'll be able to fully do this, but I'll get all the ducting all done, and I get to put the car back together again. So hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.